open session at 6:02. And thank you all for being here this evening. We're going to, I guess we don't have anything to report out on closed session. And this meeting is being recorded for live streaming and archiving on the district YouTube channel. And this time, we're going to ask everybody to stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, background information, we're on, wait a second. No, yes. Could I get the approval of the agenda as written, please?
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Thank you. May I get a second? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Yes, President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
And Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And
Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. We're going to move on to our highlight. And I'm going to have, would you like to introduce or?
Good evening.
I can, Lewis, Principal of Liberty. Welcome.
And she's here to speak to us about the Spinning Salmon Project.
I'll try to save the battery.
Oh, here it is. Test. There we go. Yep, we're good. Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Wright, President Zeta, fellow trustees and cabinet members, and the community here and watching through live stream. My name is Kimberly Lewis, and I am the proud principal of Liberty High School. Tonight, I have the pleasure of giving you a highlight of what's been happening at Liberty. Tonight, I want to explain to you about the Spinning Salmon Project and Liberty High School's partnership with UC Davis. First, I need to explain the origins and the genesis of this project. Researchers noticed that there was a strange behavior and high mortality rate in our local salmon hatcheries. In fact, the salmon, when they were hatching, were spinning. And so the research was discovered that this was a deficiency in a vitamin B, and what caused the population of the salmon, not only could they not spawn, but they could not produce. And so one of the big concerns is the population of salmon declining. And so the Spinning Salmon Project was started at UC Davis and was partnered with Solano County of Education. With the help of Dr. Beatson, I want to say thank you. Liberty High School was chosen among a small number of schools in the Solano County to work on this project with UC Davis. Now, what was really exciting is when UC Davis, along with the California Wildlife Commission, came in and dropped off our aquariums. And in the aquariums were small little salmon eggs. And through this process, our students were able to document, observe, collect data about their own little salmon eggs that were hatching in our science classroom. I personally call them our little Nemos, but I was told not to name them, but you can't walk that back. So our students were able to learn about their life cycles, their behaviors, and their role in the ecosystem. And they made their data charts and their observations just as if they were scientists working at UC Davis. This year, on a very cold morning, about 15 students, along with our science teacher, Miss Mila Bono, went up into the Sacramento River, along with citizen scientists and researchers from UC Davis, and released our new hatched salmon, little baby fishies. Working side by side with citizen scientists, our students were able to observe the behaviors as they were releasing them into the waters. They took the water temperature, they documented all this data. And watching kids work side by side with not only the researchers, but the fish and wildlife, the game wardens, watching all these experts work with our kids was pretty phenomenal. Now, what's really remarkable is that UC Davis actually reached out to us. They asked that they can work directly with our students, highlighting the student data in their research projects, bringing our kids up to UC Davis and showing them exactly where the students' data lived in their research, lived inside the work that they were doing inside their own labs. The students came back with a clear understanding that what happened in their classroom, they were using at UC Davis. They were using it to further the new research that they have for the next 2 to 3 years. Now, not only were our students being asked to be showcased at UC Davis, but the kids were pretty excited when they found out they'd also being showcased at the county office website. They were very quick to show me, did you see my picture? Did you see my picture? So I promised them that I would share these pictures with you guys.
Nice.
Now, just note that one of my students said, I wasn't on my phone, Miss Lewis. I was actually taking pictures. So I had to be very clear that he wasn't on his phone, Instagramming. He was actually taking documentation of his little fish that he was responsible for. So I'll make sure that Javen knows.
Nice.
Now, for those that have understand about Liberty or may not know about Liberty, but this directly aligns to our Learning Through Interest program. What students are interested in, what they want to explore past high school, we go to the extent of getting kids out there to ask questions, to talk to specialists, to get real-world hands-on experience. From the Forestry Challenge to our spinning salmon projects to our internships all through our community, our students are driving what Liberty stands for, what they get to choose to look at past high school. So what's really cool is that the students are getting to be able to have an opportunity to meet experts in the field, work side by side with not only citizen scientists, but researchers at a high-level university. And they too, now that they see themselves in a lab, now they want to be in that lab.
Nice.
So yeah, incredibly exciting. So next steps. We're looking to expand this program. Not only are we going to continue to partner with UC Davis to be a highlighted school within their own research, we are going to get more NEMOs back next year, which I'm excited for, but they've wanted to bring in more guest speakers because our Learning Through Interest program is not only to get kids out, but to bring experts in. We're also going to be partnering with the UC Davis lab. I'm pushing for once a month, but it's probably going to be once a quarter that a handful of students are actually going to put on a lab coat and work at the UC Davis's labs.
Nice.
And then lastly, what a lot of kids are really interested in too is working with the Game and Wildlife Division, getting out there and understanding not only the fish and the hatcheries, but how our whole wildlife and our whole outdoors works. And I'm pushing that because that department has a lot of fun toys. Boats and ATVs. So we're incredibly excited and very proud to have this ongoing relationship with UC Davis. Our kids are out there. They're not on their phones. They're actually taking pictures of their fish.
Nice.
And they're coming back jazzed and energized about the possibilities that they could have for the future.
Sweet.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions? Any questions?
No, that was great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you very
Mrs.
much.
Lewis. You do awesome stuff at Liberty. We certainly appreciate it. All right, we're going to move on to our reports. And the first up, we have no students. Usually these chairs are filled with 2 students.
Yeah.
that, yeah, our students that usually represent Liberty and Benicia High School at the board meetings are not here to share this evening, so we will bypass that and go right to our superintendent's report. Dr. Wright.
Right. Good evening, everyone. I just want to take some time to thank the community for supporting Measure C. It provides the much-needed repairs and improvements to our facilities. I feel our students in our community deserve modernized facilities, and Measure C does just that. So thank you for supporting Measure C, and we'll make you proud with the facility improvements that we make over the next 10 to 15 years. I also want to take a moment to recognize our March observances. March is Irish American Heritage Month. It is also Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, and it's Women's History Month. So because we're BUSD and we have a commitment to STEAM, it's an acronym, so science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, I want to recognize Sally Ride, who is our astronaut. After flying on the Challenger in 1983, Sally Ride became the first American woman to travel to space. She encouraged women and girls to pursue STEAM careers, serving as a director of California Space and Science Institute. She wrote children's books and collaborated with science programs. So BUSD, we salute Sally Ride. I want to take some time, a couple of moments, to address some communications that have been very public in our community. I want to address an incident that occurred with a former employee of ours. So I'm just going to read a statement that I prepared. So earlier this week, the district and community learned that a former BUSD employee was indicted on 5 counts of lewd and lascivious conduct with a minor. This news is shocking, it's very unsettling, and it generates anger and concern throughout our community. As a parent of 2 daughters myself, I can relate to the multitude of emotions that many are feeling. When you drop your students off at our schools, you're sharing your prized possessions, and it's our goal to return them to you each and every day with additional knowledge to help them navigate the world. When incidents occur, it is our goal and responsibility to communicate timely, effectively, and candidly, but within the parameters of the law. This incident generated several questions and a demand for answers. So on Tuesday, March 5th, I shared a communication with our community, informing them of this news and highlighting the actions that the district took to separate this individual from our organization. This was the first available opportunity that we could legally share information with the broad community because the incident became a public indictment through law enforcement agencies. The message I shared, understandably, generated additional questions and concerns focused on BUSD hiring practices and demanding a rationale for hiring an individual who was acquitted from a similar accusations from another school district. Because the current administration was not in place at the time of the initial hire approximately 16 years ago, I'm unable to respond to the decisions made at that time. I will, however, reiterate that once concerns were brought forward last school year, we responded immediately and took appropriate action. Personnel matters are confidential, and district followed California Education Code and BUSD board policies for what information could be released publicly. Here are some facts that I can share, or I will share. It's important to note that when the district became aware of the concerns, the administration took immediate action by placing this individual on leave, contacting law enforcement, and filing a report with Child Protective Services. A third-party attorney also investigated the alleged conduct. These decisive steps prevented him from interacting with students in his capacity as an employee and facilitated a comprehensive investigation by the school district and law enforcement agencies. The finding of the district's internal investigation produced enough information to lead to the employee separation from the district and report to the California Commission on Teaching Credentialing, which is the body that can revoke a teacher's credential. Since the district removed this former employee from the classroom and separated him from employment, law enforcement gathered additional information, allowing them to pursue appropriate legal action. I also want to share with you and outline our hiring protocols because that's been a topic of discussion. When you apply to the Benicia Unified School District or any school district in California for that matter, by law, applicants must apply. In Benicia, you apply for the position using our online EdJoin district application form. All applications are screened, and the district conducts pre-interview reference checks from previous employers, and at least one of those checks are from an immediate supervisor. Viable candidates are then selected for an interview. Selected applicants undergo additional reference checks. If they're highly qualified, they're then recommended to Human Resources for hire. Those applicants must also submit fingerprints to the Department of Justice and the FBI to determine if they have a criminal record. The district follows California Education Code to screen out those with criminal history. The potential hire is then brought to the governing board to finalize the hire. We continue to review practices to ensure applicants are thoroughly vetted. I've also requested that our district administrative team to collaborate with me, and will continue to review all hiring and onboarding practices to ensure we have strengthened our efforts as much as possible. Safety will always be our top priority, and we'll continue to work diligently to continue to improve practices. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to board reports. Do my fellow trustees have anything they would like to share about the last couple of weeks? Nothing?
I do.
Oh,
As
please.
do you.
Well, yes.
Trustee Zeta and I were judges at a speech contest sponsored by the Lions Club at the high school.
Yeah.
So we were able to listen to some of our fabulous high school students speak on what would make the world a better place. And I thought it was tremendous.
It was great. They were fabulous speakers. I stumble up here sometimes. They were amazing. So it was nice to see them in action, and that did you have something else to piggyback?
I have a couple. I have not on the debates, but yeah.
Okay, I'll go back to that after. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. My other ones were I had a weekend of auctions this weekend. I attended the Matthew Turner auction, and then I attended the Joe Henderson auction with a lot of the people here in this room right now. And both schools did a phenomenal job. The PTA and the PTG. Wow. I think auctions are back post-COVID.
Yay.
There was some friendly competition there, and really both schools, it was tremendous. The community really came out for it. And also thank you to all of the businesses and everybody who donated something to the schools, everybody that bought something at the auction or bid on something. It was awesome to see. And that is, now being part of the board and understanding how our schools are financed, the money that is raised in those auctions makes a huge impact. So thank you to the community for that. It was awesome. And then the only other thing I want to mention was I attended a Rotary Club meeting this week with Dr. Wright, and he presented on Measure C and gave a state of the district and how that's going to, there's, visioning process that's going to be happening and all that. Busy week, busy couple of weeks.
Nice.
Anybody else? No? I also want to reiterate and thank everybody that supported Measure C. I'm looking forward to all these positive changes that are going to happen to our facilities. And it's, without you, we would not have been able to do it. And I want to thank the people that also took part in doing the planning and everything related to see. And just, we appreciated it. It's not easy and it takes a lot of time, but we do appreciate your efforts and we came out getting that measure passed. So thank you. And the other thing I had to share was that there were two things. First of all, basketball at the high school. Did you all see how amazing our team did from Benicia High?
Yeah.
Just bravo, bravo to them. You guys are great. Thank you to the coaches and the parents and everybody involved. And then also to go back to the debate. I got a letter today from Michelle Gaines, she's a retired teacher, but she now is an advisor for the debate team. And I'm going to read this because I think it's important. Benicia seniors Michael Delgado and Gabriel Stockwell will be traveling to New York on April 5th for the National Parliamentary Debate League Tournament of Champions competition. This caps an extraordinary 3-year run as teammates who exceeded expectations as sophomores, when as first-year debaters, they single-handedly earned Benicia High School a 25th national ranking in parliamentary debate. This year, as the team co-captains and coaches, they built and trained a large team that collectively won 4th overall in the tournament points earned, beating out many larger and well-established teams in the Bay Area. A month before the end of the debate season, they decided to join forces again and debate as a team. The outcome of that was once again impressive. They were among the top 2 teams out of 32 in-state qualifiers for the Bay Area, earning a place in statewide finals, which will take place in Clovis, April 12th through 14th. And as they celebrated that huge win, they got word that they were chosen to go to national finals in New York City. There, they'll join teams from Berkeley, San Marcos, Irvington, teams that they beat in state qualifiers who also qualified for the national finals, as well as the best parliamentary debate team from around the country. This end-of-the-year performance was it was an unexpected surprise. It also means travel expenses over 2-night tournaments, one which requires airfare, the other is travel-related expenses. The Benicia community has supported this team for several years now. Team parents, local politicians, and Benicia service clubs have seen the great value of supporting young people in our community that are engaged in such a valuable enterprise. These young men not only rose through the debate ranks themselves, they dedicated endless hours and weekends this year to build a team that will continue after they leave for college. They need support, once again, from our community to do all these things. So if you have any interest or desire, they're willing to take, you can reach out to Michelle Gaines and you can donate through that if you're interested. So I just wanted to share that information. I think it's amazing and they're so good. So congratulations, everybody. All right, sorry, it was a little long-winded. Next, we have comments from the members of the public. Members of the public may address the board at a regular scheduled meeting on any item within the board's jurisdiction. Speaker cards are available at the entrance table. Please note the item you wish to speak to and submit a card to the board secretary. The board president will call open session general comments and during public comment item. Comments from items on the agenda will be called during the specific item. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker, or the board will limit the total time to 20 minutes per item using the timers displayed on the screens. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during public comment periods, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of the governing board. Please be reminded to keep your comments respectful, as students may be watching the board meeting. And I just want to add one other thing is that if we as a group of trustees and everybody really up on the dais, we are not able to interact with you when you're up at the podium. And it's not that we don't want to, it's not anything like that. We're not trying to be rude. It's just how these meetings are run. So I wanted to get that out there as well. So I do have some comments here, and the first person up is Debbie Haberger. Thank you.
Okay, I'll read fast. Ready? Good evening. My name is Debbie Habeger. I had the pleasure of implementing the Special Friends program at Joe Henderson since January 1989. The Special Friends program is one-on-one in a playroom with all types of play for TK through 5th. The toys are the tools kids use to work out their problems or struggles. The reasons to attend are feeling uncomfortable at school, anxiety, low self-esteem, shy, withdrawn, highly active or impulsive, new to school, having difficulties managing emotions, coping with family changes and new baby, and many more. We meet once a week in the playroom for 30 minutes. Anything shorter is not effective. It is relational since it is one-on-one and gives the student undivided attention. We are child-led, meaning the child chooses the play. Through play, the students experience positive feelings, which gives them confidence. They learn to solve problems and develop a sense of belonging. They will also develop a sense of power and control for those that are lacking. It works well since this happens at school. It carries over into the classroom. As they leave walking taller, happier, calmer. The biggest response I hear from teachers is that they return to class ready to learn. We also use reflective listening. Some examples from the 1,600 students I have served are when they learn how good they are at something like music, or work through their problems by playing games, following the rules, giving them order. They do not have order in their life. Or a parent dying and the girl organized all of my Legos. This gave her order in her life. A boy struggling in every area of his life played with puppets. I can't do it. I try and tell myself all the time. The other puppet, you have to. You'll get in trouble. I know, I just can't do it. Later, we learned he had a learning disability. He would always tell me he loved Special Friends. So did the others, but it was only his safe place in there. The boy that got in a fight on the playground and was in the principal's office, hot, sweaty, and upset, and had pushed everything off her desk. It was time for his appointment. We went to the room, and he gave a huge sigh of relief. He got the tools and told me to bring appliances to his shop. I did. When done, he told me his dad had died and owned a fix-it shop, and he went with his dad every day and loved it. He went back to class calm. The teacher and principal asked me, what would I do? It was one-on-one relationship through play. The girl who loved art and drew a stairway to heaven when her grandpa died. The 5-year-old selective mute boy that did not talk at school or home since his mom left the family. He gradually talked on the play phones more and more. At the end of the school year, he had lines in the kinder play on stage. A little girl usually came in sad and some days had tears because her dad died and she misses him. I would give her a hug, tell her I am here for her. She would always smile and continue to play and then skip back to class. Kids describe Special Friends as love, fun, safe, peaceful, comfy. They want to live here. All Barbies, babies, dollhouse, people, and the guests who game are diverse. In closing, I am speaking on behalf of the students that they receive the support that they need to be the best they can. To cut this program communicates the needs of
Thank
students
you.
like these don't matter.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Rebecca Wimeo. Oh, Weimer. I guess it's Weimer. Thank you.
Hi, it's my first time coming here, but given the recent social media outburst with this former teacher, I felt impelled to come and express my concern with the teachers that we have around our students and clearly the hiring process or whatever that whole situation looks like. We clearly don't know and are not behind the scenes. Not only is this former teacher an issue with our district, but it seems that one teacher seems to be passed from school to school because the district doesn't want to deal with the issues. We have a sports coach at the middle school that was moved from the high school with racist, inappropriate comments. Instead of removing him, he's now been moved to the middle school around younger, vulnerable children. My kids both attend the middle school, as well as Robert Semple Elementary School, where that former teacher was. I just want to come here and be a support to my kids and other kids and bring the awareness that we feel like there needs to be more done. We are concerned with the decision making. We shouldn't be worried about our kids being at school, and as of right now, we are. I had to have a conversation with my daughter last night about this former teacher because it is being spread like wildfire, and explain to her that we have great and loving teachers. Some want to offer a pat on the back, some want to offer a hug and console you, but there's a line. And when that line's crossed, our kids need to know that and speak up and understand that certain acts of affection are not okay. So I'm here today to be a voice of not only parents that have been supporting parents on these social medias, and to be a voice to these kids and stand up for these kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker is Kelly Hughes. There she is. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Wright, staff. My name is Kelly Hughes, and I've been a teacher at Joe Henderson Elementary for the past 17 years. Throughout my tenure, I have had the pleasure of working alongside many amazing people, some that teach within the classroom, some that work with students as support staff, and some, like my friend Debbie Hobigger. It's difficult to adequately define Debbie's role because it's bigger than just a job title. That said, I actually do believe there is no better job title than the one she happens to have, special friend. As a teacher, I have seen the impact Debbie and the Special Friends program has had on our students. As a new teacher, I didn't fully understand what the Special Friends program was. I remember sharing concerns about certain students with my colleagues, and often the suggestion was to refer them to special friends. And while back then I may not have fully understood what it was, I quickly learned that Special Friends was indeed a special place. Every single time one of my students came back from their time with Debbie, they seemed much happier and calmer and more at ease. As time went on, I of course learned about all of the services we had to offer to our families and students, and Special Friends quickly rose to the top of my list whenever a parent would share certain concerns they had about their child, or when I would notice students exhibit signs of unhappiness, anxiety, or social withdrawal. It saddened me to recently learn that the Special Friends program was being eliminated after almost 35 years, especially at a time when it seems it's needed the most. Maybe it has something to do with the ongoing effects of our post-pandemic world. Maybe it's just the new way of our world. But whatever it is, I can say without a doubt that a great number of our young students are in more and more need of emotional and social support. As a teacher, it breaks my heart to learn of the circumstances that often lead me to make referrals to programs such as Special Friends. And while I fully support our Second Step program as well and see the benefits it has, there's a big difference between the two. Second Step is a group setting in which students learn and practice social skills. But Special Friends offers individual students a safe space in which they are free to be themselves. A place in which, through play, our young students often work through big life issues that are difficult enough for adults to endure, let alone a 5 to 10-year-old. They know that their relationship with their special friend is an unconditional one, and it is a time that they come to look forward to each week. That is made obvious in the way that even my most withdrawn or quiet fifth graders light up when Debbie comes to get them for their visit. While I'm disappointed with the proposed cut to the Special Friends program, I am also not naive to the budget challenges faced by the board and district officials. And so, while I appreciate the time I have tonight to share my thoughts, I know that's probably not enough to save the program. Though that would be a welcomed outcome, my bigger objective tonight was twofold. First, I wanted to publicly recognize the Special Friends program and the impact it has had on over 1,600 Henderson Hounds alone, and countless more throughout the district. It's like 3 sentences. Second, and more especially, I want to publicly recognize the profound impact that Debbie Hobigger has had on the over 1,000 students she has worked with, and thank her for being a tireless champion for her kids. As educators, we don't always know
Thank
how
you,
much of a
Kelly.
difference we have made.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, Debbie has made an immeasurable difference, and she's changed the lives of.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, our next speaker is it Mel Paterno? Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Mel Turner.
Got it. Thanks. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for letting me speak. have to forgive me. I just came back from the dentist and I didn't want to miss this, so half of my mouth is numb. So if you need me to repeat something, I will. So, and I'm nervous. I've never done this before. Is this part of my 3 minute?
Yes.
Oh, okay, let me go. So, a former director of the Special Friends program once said that this was designed to help students adjust to the demands school presents them. Forgive me if I sound frustrated or accusatory but I would like to preface this by saying that I'm not here to do that or point fingers to what happened or what is happening to our program. My presence here is twofold, and that is, and the first one might sound self-serving, but it is a decision close to Special Friends program. Oh, great, my phone just died. It is the loss of an incredibly group of people who is very dedicated in mental health providers for our kids. And number two, and the most important one, why I stand here before you and hopefully not fall apart, is for the kids who needs it most. These are the kids who lack self-esteem, battle shyness, home dysfunction, personal tragedies, and children who fall in the spectrum. These are the children that make up the Special Friends Playroom. It is well known that personal issues in the lives of these kids affect their school performance. Our playroom provides them safe harbor, a connection with an adult other than a teacher, a family member who would welcome them without prejudice. An unconditional relationship in a playroom where one can decompress from the daily stresses of school and their personal struggles. In short, I believe that it would be a grave mistake with this decision to close the importance of mental health program. I don't know if it's too late or there's nothing more can be done, but if there is a way to reconsider your position and do not eliminate Special Friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Christina Collins.
Good evening. I'd like to speak to the resignation of Mr. Foldberry, and I'm just going to reread an email I sent out earlier this week. Dear members of the Board of Education, I am writing to express my concern regarding the recent resignation of Mr. Foldberry. I've been teaching in Benicia since 1993 and at Henderson since 2005, so have many years of experience with many different principals. Mr. Foldberry has been exactly what our school needed. He brought structure back at a time when things had become very loose. He has been fair, kind, and approachable. While his thorough style has been frustrating at times, we are learning that his deep dives into every part of our school are resulting in systems that work better than they have in years. He has slowly but surely transformed our school into a better place for students and staff. Mr. Foldberry has immersed himself in the Joe Henderson's community and knows our students and their families by name. He deals with discipline issues quickly and appropriately, which leads to a safer learning environment for everyone. He is professional. In all my years at Matthew Turner and Joe Henderson, I have never worked for a principal who is so supportive, well-balanced, and capable. It is a shame to let him go at a time like this when he is just hitting a rhythm and really starting to make a difference. It is a disservice to students, staff, and the BUSD community as a whole. I'd like to encourage the board to not support this decision without some serious consideration. Joe Henderson has had many transitions over the past few years, and this is just going to add to the turmoil that has been harmful to our school community. Our students need consistency and the structure that a principal like Mr. Foldberry can provide. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Bill Waring.
Good evening, trustee members. Dr. Wright, thank you very much for your time tonight. Prior to me coming up here, I had this beautiful long speech written, probably not as beautiful as some of my community members, but I ended up having to put that away because, Dr. Wright, I want to say thank you for addressing my concerns today when it came to the student safety amongst our current teachers. What I did want to come up here and talk about, though, was it was brought to my attention that this is the second case within 5 years of abuse amongst our children. And I wanted to ask if there is a way in which you're addressing current onboarding of new hires that we can also vet current employees as well. One of the teachers I was aware of had been a teacher for 25 years, was a teacher when I was a student here in Benicia Unified School District. As a parent with 3 young children, it is a huge concern as I drop my children off at school every day that I'm not sure how it's going to be when they come home. So if we can, please not only vet the new hires a little bit more stringent, but let us know how we can vet the current teachers and current staff as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Ramsey Kidder. Hello.
I wanted to speak on behalf of the French program at the high school, like potentially being closed. I'm currently enrolled in this program in French 1. I'm in 9th grade right now, and I originally signed up for Spanish, but then got transferred to French. And I feel like it would be a little bit unfair to people that are already enrolled in French and want to finish their 3 years of French for the A through G requirements for it to be closed down midway through, so they have to restart with a new language. And I just think that for a school that promotes diversity, only having one language doesn't coincide with that. So, yeah, that's all.
Thank you. And our final speaker tonight is Natalie Kidder. Thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm Ramsey's mom, and he's a freshman at Benicia High. And so I wanted to speak about the French teacher also. I don't have anything nicely prepared. I just wanted to say that he signed up for Spanish and you put him in French, and you know, he was okay with it, and now he likes it and he wants to continue along the path. I know several with parents who have kids that are, you know, like in their 2nd year of French and want to be able to take their 3rd year. They're not going to be able to start over with the new one. And in order to go to a UC, you have to have 3 years of the language. I think reducing her hours is a nice move in order to make her, you know, quit. So that's, I just kind of feel like it's, you know, not acceptable, really. I feel disappointed in our school district. I'm sure you've read all of the emails that I've sent this week regarding all the different things happening. So I just hope you think about like what your priorities are, what our priorities are as a school district. It should be the student should come first. It shouldn't be, you know, your titles or how much money you make, or like covering things up or this and that. So I'm just really want to like make sure we prioritize the students as the number one thing and what their needs are, you know. And so that's that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody that spoke this evening. We're going to now move on to our approval of the consent calendar. Background information on these items is provided to the board prior to the meeting. A common motion takes place without discussion on a roll call vote unless discussion of items is requested by the board members. So can I get an approval of the consent calendar as written?
I move that we approve the consent calendar as written.
Thank you. May I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs. Trustee Moss. Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
And on 11E, I need to get a separate roll call regarding resolution number 23-24-22, declaration of obsolete property. May I get a roll call on that, please?
President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs. Yes. Trustee Moss. And Trustee Maselli. And Trustee Hirsch. Yes.
Okay, and then I also want to give a shout out to Nora Dyson, who's a community member for the BHS. She made a donation of $100 to the BHS debate team. So thank you very much for that donation. And we are up to our presentations, and I'm going to bring Dr. Beetson on to talk about the LCAP process.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to give you a very brief update on where we are in the development of our 24-25 LCAP. So I want to remind you of what the process is, give you some outcomes of some of the feedback that we've received through our educational partner outreach, provide you with draft recommendations from the LCAP committee, which is comprised of parents, students, and staff, and then open it up for any questions or comments. And again, this is just an update of where we are in the process. Oh boy, that's tiny. Sorry about that. The process, we did a lot of outreach for educational partner engagement. We reviewed data. It is still in the hallway if anyone is interested in taking a look at that. We held forums for staff, students, and families, and we provided surveys for staff, students, and families as well. Our LCAP team, as I said, which is made up of students, staff, and parents, reviewed data, reviewed all the feedback, and then we made recommendations, and currently in the process of writing the draft LCAP. It has sections for goals, actions, and services, and then we have to create specific actions for students in our district who are in what they call the red on the California dashboard, any schools that are in the red, and any student groups within those schools that are in the red. So that's a new requirement within our LCAP, is to identify specific actions for particular student groups. And then again, we call out specific actions for our socioeconomically disadvantaged, foster homeless youth, English learners, and we have to identify the demonstrated need, how the action will help, and the identified metric for monitoring. So that, again, we've always had to call out those particular services and actions, but now we have to go further and write, there's a narrative section that goes with it. And then in May, I will bring this to you in its full form for a public hearing, and then in June for adoption.
Sounds good.
We had fewer responses to our survey from parents and students than we have in the past. I think I sent it out 4 or 5 times. So you can see here is the overall. That is not supposed to be 27 responses because those numbers don't add up. I clearly left a digit off. So we had 179 staff, 58 parents overall, and 39 students. And that's in an overall survey, just their overall perceptions of district. And then elementary school, middle school, and high school. And you can see the breakdown there. Overwhelmingly, people wanted to keep the 4 LCAP goals that we have. They wanted more emphasis on student interests and potential careers, really having us think about how do we continue to move and adapt to technological changes. We asked specific questions about our current mission, vision, and belief statements, and people really thought they were very relevant but quite wordy. And so we might want to think about coming up with some ways to reduce that. And then we asked them to rank their top 3 to 5 actions. And remember, these are the ones that are funded with those one-time dollars. And so I just want to reiterate that since the pandemic, we got a lot of money from the state and federal government to mitigate learning loss. We did a great job over the last many years to lay those grants, those monies side by side so that we could keep many of those one-time programs going for as long as possible. And we knew that the day would come when we'd have to make some hard decisions because those are running out and we don't have ongoing funds to support them at this time. And so in the next few slides, we had lots and lots of conversation about how do we continue because we love everything.
Can I ask more emphasis on student interests and potential careers? What does that look like exactly? What is there a way to elaborate on what that really means?
There wasn't, I'll have to go back and get back to you. I can look up the specific comment. I don't remember off the top
No worries, I
of
was
my head
just
what the
curious.
specific was on that. But, you know, I think it was really, it was student interest and potential career. So not only focusing on the college and the college readiness, but more exploration for students. How do we give kids choice?
Thank you.
And again, I apologize. I didn't realize it looked much bigger on my big screen. How tiny this is. So as you remember, we have 4 LCAP goals. So I kind of grouped them by the conditions for learning. So those are goals 1 and 4, our sense of belonging, and the SEL and equity goal. And so overwhelmingly keeping, and this was pulled out of the rankings and then through the conversations about how do we meet the most student needs with the dwindling dollars that we have. People felt like the additional hours for student supervision aides at the elementary school was highly beneficial in terms of making connections with kids, student safety, all of those things. We have an additional mental health clinician, and so that was an overwhelmingly, please keep that. Keeping the second step program because that is a tier 2 and sees small groups. Doing some professional development, but modifying it, so putting some less funding towards all of that. The Willie B. Atkins program, people felt like it was very worthwhile. Our attendance isn't fantastic and it is very pricey, so I've been able to work with them to reduce our contract amount on that. So it would be continuing the program, but it would be a reduced cost to us, and then keeping wellness centers, again, ranked really, really high. And I want to just reiterate, none of this was a value judgment on any one of the programs. People wanted to be able to keep everything, and we had a lot of conversation about that.
Clarification, the wellness centers are at every school site,
Every
correct?
school site, yep.
Okay. And then one more question I had around and maybe I can ask at the end. I'll just let you finish and then I'll ask.
Okay, either way, it's fine. And then we have the 2 academic goals, one focused on literacy and one focused on mathematics. And again, our data indicated and the responses were our intervention specialist. We have one that's part-time, that's funded by one-time dollars that we've been able to increase. And then our intervention assistants, those are classified positions. Definitely keeping those. We are seeing great results in student reading. Our English language development, we do some direct service. We have a teacher on special assignment that is doing direct service with our EL students. And remember, we have 30 different languages and many newcomers there. The feedback from teachers was keeping no combos. That's a double negative, or not a double negative, but the way that comes out. So not having combination classes, at least for another year, is really critical as we're moving our students that were in COVID from kindergarten and first grade are getting close to the end of elementary school, and they're really seeing that as a benefit. Keeping an additional IT technician because we are so tech heavy. We need that to support our devices and our staff. And then keeping the 20% math coach that we have at the middle school. We have someone working with the teachers. We're doing some new piloting on new curriculum there and seeing some great new results. I shared those with you a couple of meetings ago. Unfortunately, there were some things that we needed to drop off if we wanted to continue some of these. Remember, the conversation was we could either keep everything for one more year and then we'd be totally out of money, or we could try to reduce or eliminate some things, keep others for longer periods of time. And so some of the things that you've heard tonight was special friends. And, you know, I want to spend a minute on that. It absolutely has nothing to do about the value of the program, but we had to look at, are there other ways that we can try to serve more students? And so that was a very difficult decision. Care Solace, an elementary counselor, a mental health coordinator, NWEA MAP, we're going to try to use some other lottery funding to pay for that, because that is a curricular area. Technology, using their own budget, and we're doing some different things with technology, which is really helping to reduce the cost. Before, all students had individual devices at the elementary school that went back and forth to home, and we had lots and lots of damage. And so we've gone back to carts at the elementary school, so every classroom has a cart. They've only had, I think he said 3, maybe it was 5 damaged computers this year since we went back to that. So we're looking at, is there a way to do something like that at the middle school? We need to make sure that students have access at home to computers because their curriculum is online at home. So we're looking at other ways to reduce that cost, because otherwise we have to buy 1,500 new computers this year just to make sure that we have enough working devices, because they get broken. We are not going to be, we had a data analytics platform that held all of our historical data, because our student information system really only holds 1 year of data. So we had to buy this add-on. We're finding, Lisa Golson and our IT department are working really hard to figure out a way to make our student information system hold historical data so that we don't need that extra program, which was pretty costly. We're looking at potentially using some other funding for part, if not all, of the band. So we support our band program for their trips that they need to do, their buses and so forth. SBAC incentive, so at the high school, we're trying to incentivize kids to really give it a good solid go on that state test that comes in May. And we've had a community member who sits on my LCAP team who owns a business in town and says, let me take care of that. I'll work with some businesses in town and to get some incentives for kids. So we'll be doing that. And then we're looking at, we have to keep our contract with the Benicia Public Library. It's a small contract for as our district librarian, because we don't have a credentialed district librarian. And so we're looking at, is there a different way to do that service? So that's kind of where we are in the conversation right now. I just wanted to give you an update and ask if you had any questions.
Yeah, I did. So I'm going to ask a question about this now. So the other funding and the eliminations, were there, for any of those items, were there ever any partnerships with other groups or that kind of donated or did, things like that to kind of help offset the cost?
We did have a city grant in the past for Special Friends that paid for, not the whole program, but for part of it. Special Friends has always been paid with one-time dollars. Even before the COVID dollars, we had money from our previous governor used to give lots of one-time grants for many years, and so we had some money built up that we offset that funding. We did not get the city grant last year, and in conversation with them, they weren't in a position because of their financial to be able to continue to offer that. So we paid for all of the program with our one-time COVID, I call them COVID dollars.
And then the other question that I had was around, so the groups that were in the red, I know that the LCAP now has to, we have to specifically state, I guess, what things are going to be happening for them in terms of support. So, but the state isn't going to allocate any additional support. We just have to figure out how to make it work with
Correct.
What we have.
Correct. And
But they want to see what we're doing,
right.
basically. Okay.
And I, so 2 things on that point. Good news is we're not in differentiated assistance anymore, so we've moved through that, which is excellent. And then the second thing is, I think the intent of that is to really help districts be very intentional that this, really it lifts all students when we provide services for particular groups, but really be intentional about what those needs are and how do we support those groups, and then not just roll things from year to year to year without really taking a good hard look at data. And I have to say, I'm proud of our LCAP team. We go, I would say they go above and beyond what many districts do. We meet every month, at least once. We've met a couple, when we were doing some of this work, we were meeting a couple of weeks in a row and really digging into that data and taking it very seriously, where the real letter of the law requirement is we just have to consult with groups. And so we go above and beyond because we feel it's that important.
And I guess one more question. And I guess for things that are eliminated, so like the business person who's going to now take on, I guess, trying to do something for one of the areas that you mentioned, right, with the band items? Was it that one?
It was the SBAC
The
incentive.
SBAC, okay. So, but it is an, opportunity if folks were like if there are grants available, it's a very possible that things could still happen.
Absolutely, and I will be looking.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't qualify for a lot of grants. We're in this very interesting segment in terms of our demographic.
Yeah.
Many of the grants that are out there, and I wrote, for the last 2 summers, I wrote these huge anti-bias grants to try to get some funding to do some more work, and we haven't gotten them, and I think part of it's because of our demographic.
Demographics,
We don't qualify for many.
Okay.
But we'll still look.
Any other questions? I just want to say that I've heard really good things about how the process went this year. And I thank you and thank all the team members that took place doing this because they did a great job, and I've heard great things. So
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
It's a great group of people.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to go to our action items. First up is, let's see here. Yes, I'm going to introduce, Dr. Gill, if you would join us and speak about these next 2 items, actually.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, trustees, Dr. Wright, and community members. So the first item is 13A, which is resolution 23-24-19. As Dr. Beatson explained, as part of the LCAP process, it is based on that, this resolution is being brought forward for the reduction of the classified positions and classified program, which is special friends programs, and the positions is elementary guidance assistant, and the resolution has the details in it.
Do my fellow trustees have any questions on this particular one? No? All right, can I get a motion, please?
I move that we approve Resolution 23-24-19.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Zeta,
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs. Yes. Trustee Moss. Yes. Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and Dr. Gill, if you join us again, that would be great.
Yes, ma'am. So 13B is resolution number 23-24-20. This is the reduction of discontinued certain certificate particular kinds of service. And these are listed in the resolution, which is world language French teacher 0.6 and community day school teacher 1.0.
Okay. Do my fellow trustees have any questions regarding this? No? Looks like we might have. Go ahead.
So she was, the French teacher was 0.8, now she'll be 0.2. Or is that, did I get that?
The program is being reduced from 0.8 to 0.2. That is correct. So it will be a reduction of 0.6 in the program.
Right.
I don't know if this is the right time to bring this up, but reducing the French program, and it just raises questions for me about what classes are we offering our students? Are we offering them enough of a diverse array of language classes? So I do have concerns about that. I don't know if this is where we can have that discussion and I can ask some questions, if that would be appropriate. Yeah.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Sure. So we have historically, not historically, but for many years, have had dwindling numbers in our French program. And we have had to move students who have chosen Spanish as their number 1 and number 2 is French into the French program to have enough to make a French 1 class. With this reduction, we would be keeping the advanced French class. So students that started in French 1 will be able to continue.
That's what I was going to get to.
Right, but we
Yeah.
won't start a new French 1 class,
Right.
if that makes sense.
So the people that
we'll
are
keep
already in
So
it
if they're in that
stay.
path, they'll be able to finish if they want to take French to, I think they stack 2 and 3
Right.
together. It's a stacked class. The other thing that we're exploring is if there's a way to do some community college partnerships while we'll be down to primarily one language. If there was a way to do some community college partnerships or dual enrollment so that students have some more options until a time when we're in a position to potentially offer something else.
So then Spanish would be the only foreign language offered
At Benicia High School.
at the high school.
Okay.
We did, oh, sorry.
I was going to say that it also gives us an opportunity to explore why are French numbers dwindling over the past few years, and if there's an interest to consider alternative language to bring in than Spanish. So it'll allow us to initiate a process to figure out where our students' interests lie, because we like to create a master schedule that consists of the students' needs.
You could poll, find out what kids are interested in. Yeah.
That would mean that our Spanish classes would maybe increase the number of students. And secondly, as far as the French class, and we're saying the last few years, dwindling in numbers, we have to remember we had COVID during that time. Was it prior to COVID that our numbers were dwindling also?
I think it's been small. I don't
Ongoing?
have the exact
Oh,
data in
no,
front
that's
of me,
fine.
but it's been quite small for a while.
Okay,
We've
thank
had to
you.
move people to Spanish just for space. Yeah.
Would we have enough space in Spanish for anybody who wants to come in? I heard some in the community had to take French because there was no room in Spanish.
We will.
Yeah.
High school is already working on those details and making sure there's space for students. So they have not shared any concerns with us regarding that.
I had one other question, and this might not be a great question right now because Mr. Rahill isn't here. But I just was curious about I know it's expensive for the district to run classes that aren't full. I get that. I'm curious about what would the cost be to even delay this for now until we can get a second language up and running. My concern is just offering one language in our high school. It just doesn't sit well with me, especially as I know we're going to be doing some visioning, and we have such a great product. I just want to make sure that students have an array to choose from if they're interested. And I know that numbers are low now, but I don't know if there's been an opportunity to kind of pull those in the middle school. I heard there were 2 full classes of French 1 coming in. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but one full class. Yeah.
So our understanding is that the class that is being offered during 24-25 school year is French 2. So in French 1, there were not enough students signed up. So not enough students have signed up for French 1 to offer a full class.
But if they're at the middle school, if they're taking French 1 at the middle school.
There's no French.
There's no French 1.
No French.
Oh, I thought that.
There used to be.
Oh,
No, not
okay.
anymore. No, I'm just thinking about the middle school students coming into the high school. Are we going to get, and here's another way to ask the question, I guess. If we get more of a demand for French, is it possible to add it back in? Or does the district feel that we're just moving away from French?
I mean, it's a possibility, always, but right now, as we look at the numbers, it just doesn't constitute enough sections that we feel that we can run it and be fiscally responsible. In terms of where we go next, I think surveying the students and getting an idea of where their interests lie will enable us to do that. So if French is the interest, then it's possible that we can continue on with that program.
I just want to, go ahead, sorry.
No, go
Oh, no, I just wanted to make sure, so the students who are in it now will be able to finish out completely, like there's, okay.
The full 3
It's just
years.
the new, okay. Right?
I just have I have 2 concerns. One is that there won't be enough room, that there won't be enough sections of Spanish to accommodate all the students. It is a UC requirement that there are 3 years. And the other thing is that it's so limiting to just have one. And I understand that you're saying that we're going to look at it and see where interest lies, but it just seems so stifling. It doesn't. So what I would like to say is that I'd like to see us get another language going within the year. You know, I know you're going to need the 24-25 school year to do that, but I'd sure like to see 25-26 coming in with at least one other language.
And we agree. You know, voice and choice is very important for our students. So having the opportunity to select more than just one language would be our vision as well.
Okay.
Those are all good questions, you guys. I appreciate them, and I know they do as well. So at this point, can I get a motion on number 12 or 13B?
I move that we approve Resolution 23-24-20.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mrs. Martinez.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
No.
All right. Thank you. At this time, we will be adjourning our meeting, but I want to say thank you for being here, you guys. We appreciate hearing from our families and our teachers. And also, thank you to those tuning in online. And we have our next meeting is next Thursday. We don't have any weeks that we're skipping, so it'll be next Thursday, the 14th. So we hope to see you then. Thank you. Good night.